The time has come for the trivia results. Our guests did the same trivia that you did. Let's find out how they did. So Kate, Garima, and Em, were you able to work together to achieve a harmonious trivia ecosystem? Or when it came time to write down the answer, did you forget about it? Shut up.
I think we achieved ecosystem harmony and each found our own ecological niche within these questions.
We were symbiotic as fuck.
All right. Okay, cool.
That's another way of saying it.
This is a lot of confidence going into this. I love to see it because the more confident they are, the harder they fall.
I mean, we're definitely wrong. We're just very sure.
You just feel good about it. Yeah. You know for sure that you're wrong. Yeah. All right, here we go. Question 1. Crows in Tokyo can't open walnuts with their beaks. How do they exploit their urban environment to crack them open?
I think, Em, you got this one. You want to say it?
Oh, well, sure. I've seen a couple of, wow, I almost said Vines, TikToks.
She's old.
I'm old, guys. Ow. Them dropping them into intersections and cars running them over. So that's my guess.
That is absolutely correct. They will drop them into intersections. You can see here is a crow on this wire dropping a nut into the street. Nice. Waits for a car to run over it. That one didn't. Still waiting. Now a bus runs over it. It's cracked. Now what they do is they wait until the signal turns green.
That's amazing.
And they cross with the pedestrians.
Oh.
So this has been observed in Tokyo. This is where this sort of behavior is initially observed by researchers and published. They are. I'm squawking here, right?
I love it.
Thanks.
So responsible.
Eats the little walnut, and then they go away by the time the traffic comes back. It's very cool. This has been observed in Tokyo and other places in Japan. It is also thought to. It's basically it is not an innate behavior. It's a learned behavior that is passed by crows giving examples to younger crows, and it takes them about a year to learn. And one of the thoughts about this is it's a basically sort of early form of culture and passing on this sort of tool use of the human environment, and it's rad.
Crow culture.
Wait, so would you say the parents are crossing guards?
Oh, that's fun. That's fun. People are going to be raving about that one. Let's move on so fast. Okay. Question 2. True or false? Male frogs from Panama City are more attractive to females than males from the surrounding forests.
So we were thinking a lot about how the frogs from the city probably don't have as many predators as frogs from the forest, so they're probably a little bit softer. And these days, women are really into softer men.
It's true.
So true.
It's weird, Grima, because I feel like you'd have a lot in common with Dave Portnoy and this epidemic of soft woke men trying to fuck frogs. What were we talking about?
I've lost the plot.
So what was your answer?
So we said,
False? Wait.
No.
But
wait.
I think we mean true.
Yes, sorry, yeah.
Why don't
you're thinking false, and
why
then
don't you
to say
reread
true.
this to me as if it's a true statement? That's just the only way we're going to be able to figure this out.
The softer, more colorful, more emotionally intelligent city frogs
Okay.
are more attractive.
The small town bakers, if you will.
Yeah.
Well, no, big city baker. That's the.
Big city baker.
Yeah.
Yes.
So the answer is true.
We've lost the plot entirely.
Okay, we said that. Yep.
That's what we said.
Okay.
It literally says.
I truly never figured out what your answer was, but the answer was true. I think Rob has your sheet, so yeah, we'll find out. There was a paper published in Nature, Ecology, and Evolution, and it was entitled "Adaptive Changes in Sexual Signaling in Response to Urbanization." And essentially, this is the oh no, what are they called? I forgot. I think it's the oh no, I didn't put it in my notes. So I think it's called Tugara. And it's supposed to be, you're not going to really hear it, but it's supposed to be like a onomatopoeia of what their sound sounds like, and maybe if you slowed it down. But here they found that the calls of these frogs that were sort of lived in the forest versus lived in the city were noticeably different. So the forest one you can see on top is shorter. It has few of these little chirp looking things at the end. And the city one, as you can look on this, I think it's called a sonograph, is longer and also has a little bit of extra sort of more complexity. And you guys nailed it when you said that there are fewer predators, because one of the things that constricts how long they can call, the female frogs prefer a male frog that can make a longer sort of more complex call. But in doing that, they expose themselves to being overheard by bats And so bats being one of their predators, and they're listening on those like same frequencies, and so they have to restrict the amount of time. It's like a selective pressure that makes it shorter. So the ones in the city where there aren't nearly as many bats or these other like flies that like are parasitic and predate them, they don't have to worry about that. So their calls can just get longer and longer and longer. And that's the sound of a forest one. Let's go back.
Swooning.
So let's go back. So this is what the forest one sounds like. And this is what the city one sounds like. Get ready. Ooh. Gird your loins. You want to hear it again?
Crunchy at the end
Let's
there.
do it again. Ready? This is forest frog. This is city frog. Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm already worked up. Let's. So this is just also. I want to show you this picture real quick. This is like once it's hit, it's like frequency, and it's all the standing wave of ripples in the water all around it. It just makes for a really cool picture. But they basically took sampled these like frogs and recorded them from all these different sites around. I think it was sort of in the area of Panama City. Some of them were in forest sites. Some of them were in urban locations. And then they did this thing where they put a frog in the middle of like this sort of behavioral chamber, and they played the forest call on the left here and the urban call on the right, and by far the female frogs preferred the urban frog's call.
Frog hinge.
And they found another interesting thing was that if you took an urban frog and put it into the forest where it would have to worry about like predators hearing its longer call, it could change its call to be like less overheard, basically closer to the forest one. The forest ones could not do the reverse. So when they put them into the urban environment, they couldn't make a longer or more complex call that would like help them compete with the calls of the city frogs. So, that's a Hallmark movie waiting to happen, I feel like, as well.
We were just seeing over here that we enjoy the parallel of that literally being swiping right.
Yeah. Question 3. In what novel set in New York City is the protagonist's persistence and resilience symbolized by the tree Ailanthus altissima, considered to be one of the worst invasive plant species in North America?
So we basically ignored all the second half of that and said, in what novel is a protagonist symbolized by a tree? And we went with A Tree Grows in Brooklyn.
That is absolutely correct.
There we go.
You get it. So the Ailanthus altissima, also known, I believe, as the tree of heaven, is another name for it. It was the sort of central, what?
Preferred snack of the spotted lanternfly.
You're absolutely right.
Yep.
So it being this sort of like predecessor invasive species was the central metaphor because of how like it will keep growing, it will stick to anything. If you cut it down to the ground, it will grow back up. As Im said, it is also the sort of preferred tree that the spotted lanternfly wants to eat from, and that of course has like helped the spotted lanternfly like spread because they're so invasive and has spread around places of the United States. The spotted lanternfly has also followed that. This is Kieran Culkin.
Sure is.
Now you might be wondering why I have put a picture of Kieran Culkin up on the stage, and that's because on the screen. That's because there was an article in the New York Times that was quoting a Reddit post recounting that Kieran Culkin and his children were spotted in Prospect Park, stomping spotted lanternflies and counting out the number of them they counted. And various people caught them or like saw them at different points in this process. Some were like, oh, they were in the 40s when I passed them, and some said that they got as high as 70. So Kieran Culkin and his children were walking around stomping and counting, which is just parenting 101. We're sort of like ecological stewardship and counting. What can't this guy do?
I will say, this article is so wrong. It says the actor Kieran Culkin, known for his role as Roman Roy in Succession, he's known for his role in Scott Pilgrim.
Nice.
Is he in that?
He is! He is! He's Scott Pilgrim's roommate!
Who's seen Succession? Make a round of applause. Woo! Okay, not as many as I thought. Who's seen Scott Pilgrim?
Woo!
I fully stand corrected. That's where he's from. Okay, next question. Where are we? Which one of the exact place where the number on this like monitor is blocked by one of the lights, so I can't see its question, and then a little tab comes down right in front of it. So I'm like, which one? Okay, which one of the following animals was not observed by researchers who set up cameras in the sewer system of Gainesville, Florida?
So we were like, humans are definitely in there. That was Florida man, clear.
We definitely thought white-tailed deer were stupid enough to make the way into the sewer.
Yeah. Alligators obviously find their, that's Gatorland.
Yeah. Bats, a lot of bat hallmarks just in a sewer. We'll take it.
So we went with red-tailed hawks.
What was the consensus of y'all? What did y'all say? Alligators weren't. Hawks weren't, I feel like is what I'm hearing. The answer was humans.
What? Gasp.
Oh, that's good.
I had a feeling you guys would think that if there's a bunch of species in a sewer in Florida, some Florida men are going to be down there. I knew it.
I'm going to go in there to prove you wrong.
In fact, not the case. So these researchers went down there and they put all these basically trail cameras at a bunch of different places looking down into the sewers, and they saw a lot of different species. Mammals were by far the most common, various kinds of, lots and lots of rats, raccoons, squirrel, all the mammals we're familiar with from city living. But there were also alligators, which were doing something really interesting, and that they made a point to say were basically herding fish into what they knew to be dead ends in the sewer system, which was just a very interesting example of them interacting with the sort of human-built environment for hunting purposes, because the fish would kind of swim away, and if some of them made a wrong turn, they would be like, "That's dinner time," and they would corner them. There were bats. There were lots of them. In fact, there was a particular kind of bat species that would roost under the storm. What's the big heavy plate in the ground? The circle.
Manhole.
Manhole. Thank you. Manhole covers. They would nest under those, and they were saying this is a really interesting place where it could support this species, grow less endangered because it's a sheltered place. The problem is these storm drains fill up with water when there's a big storm, and in Florida that happens a fair amount. So it's possibly good in one way, but also a really precarious situation for this species to rely on these particular sites to nest and sleep and stuff. They also had a problem with raccoons because they kept stealing the cameras. Yes. And they had GPS trackers, and they said that they recovered most of them, not all of them. So somewhere there's just a little raccoon den where they're the little raccoon children are doing TikTok dances and having a great time. And I would sure love it if they would turn those in so we could see them. All right, question 5. Still having that problem. Why do finches in Mexico City with more aromatic butts have fewer parasites in their nests? I had to read that one with a straight face. Sorry. Took me a second.
So we were thinking that perhaps when those nests have eggs and those eggs hatch, the little baby birds are screaming so loudly that they shoo away the parasites. And they're screaming so loudly because the butts are aromatic. So they're like, "Give me the butt!"
Oh, now you understand the backstory. Okay, so you think... So what's the reason, sorry? That the
Give me the butt!
The parasites don't like the sound of the baby screaming because the butts smell bad?
One theory positive.
Yeah.
Oh, it's just one of your theories.
The one
okay.
we wrote down was it might repel the actual brood parasites from the nest.
So the aromatic butts repel the brood parasites.
Because if they're laying eggs from their cloaca, they are coating the eggs in that same aroma. So that aroma is perhaps...
Sorry, with that extra specific information, you talked yourself out of a right answer. Because the answer is the nicotine keeps them away.
What do you
Cigarette butts is what finches in Mexico City have started keeping inside their nests. Basically, they found that a lot of these birds were picking up cigarettes. They were tearing out the filters,
Real native
and they
birds.
were using that as lining in the nest. And it's the nicotine is basically the chemical in that in the tobacco plant is one of the things that helps ward off predation by insects and arthropods, and particularly in this case it's ticks. They're one of their ectoparasites. And what they found was, and you don't have to look too much. I'm just going to tell you. Is that what they actually looked at the difference between cigarette butts that had been smoked and not smoked. And if you're wondering about the details of that, don't worry, because I dove into it. I read this paper and I was like, well, where are they getting these smoked and non-smoked? They're surely not just walking around Mexico City trying to pick up used cigarettes compared to one they bought at a drugstore. No, what they're doing is buying cigarettes, and then they have a special machine that they say runs air through it in the same way that smoking a cigarette would. And so they have ones that they've run it through and ones that haven't. And they found that the ones that had been smoked by this machine, which by the way I think is bullshit. I think the grad students were outside. I think they were taking a smoke break, calling it field research. I think that was what was happening there. But the ones that had been smoked had more of the nicotine and other chemicals from the tobacco through the filter, and so the birds would preferentially use those. And actually, they went back and after that sort of observational paper, and they were like, okay, let's let's just take out let's go to this nest after the fledgling, after like the chicks have left. Let's just take out all the lining and we can replace it with different amounts of basically like nest bedding that has either like the cigarette butts that have been used or unused, things like that, and we can titrate essentially the amount of this nicotine that is there and see if that affects the little ectoparasites. So the greater amount reduced the amount of ectoparasites that were there, so these like ticks would like leave and there would be fewer in there when they would harvest the nest to like try to figure out how many were there. And also they found that when they experimentally like manipulated how many parasites were in there to start, so they just would put them in there, the birds would go collect more cigarette butts. So they were able to, like, from a few different directions, demonstrate that these birds are doing it on purpose. They know what it's for, or maybe they might be instinctual, but they're specifically seeking out sources of these sort of aromatic compounds that are used in plants to like fight insects. And this was just from Reddit. I found an example on our / mildly interesting, where somebody worked at a hospital, and outside the hospital there was like a cigarette, trash can, what are the ashtray can thing. Yep. And they had found that these birds, which are called, everybody just be cool about this, they're called great tits. They had made a nest in there, and it's kind of like, the question is, was that just like any sort of space that was protected from predators, or was it like potentially related to the fact that there were a bunch of things that ward off like parasites there? This was another paper which I find very funny, but I actually would love if you guys could explain to me why. I really find this a very charming title, but as I analyze it, I'm like, what specifically about that makes me laugh?
It's the tits.
It's tits, yeah, it's tits, isn't it? Yeah. We got it. We figured it out, guys. And here, this is an article in Nature that somebody was writing about a paper that was done a little while ago, and like the early 2000s. It basically was like looking at this phenomenon that similarly, and this is probably the thing that these birds sort of evolved this from, they like line their nests with a lot of these like aromatic plants, like for example mint, and there's a bunch more that I don't remember, but like in this particular nest there's like mint and other things like that, and they all have these kind of compounds that are meant to like ward off insects by having that sort of aromatic quality, so they have this strong smell. The paper was entitled "Blue Tits Use Selected Plants and Olfaction to Maintain an Aromatic Environment for Nestlings." But I think that as a title goes, Tits Weave Fragrant Nests was the superior one.
It could have been Tits Knit Fragrant Nests, just to say. I know
knit?
it's
That's better, you're right.
I know it's nitpicking, but like, just a note.
Good stuff. All right, question 6. That was a guess. Yeah. True or false? Rats who learned to drive little cars became more anxious than they were when they were merely pedestrians.
We said true. They're just like us.
Well, why? Why'd you say that?
I'm also anxious driving a little car.
That's a perfectly...
It's the driving that makes me anxious, but the learning driving, which makes me even more anxious. Like having someone else behind the wheel tell me what to do.
I relate. It is in fact false.
Oh.
These rats loved learning to drive. They had a much higher ratio than before they were trained in these like compounds that like indicate that they are now more emotionally resilient, and they had a much higher ratio of those to cortisol, like a stress hormone. The paper was enriched environment exposure accelerates rodent driving skills. So by the way, that particular finding was like a sub-finding of this paper where they were like, if we keep rats in just like a cage with nothing in it versus a cage with like a slide and a wheel and stuff, the ones that have the more fun cage are better at learning to drive. I don't know why specifically learning to drive little cars, but this is what they thought, this is the task they were gonna test it on. Yeah, we're just going to watch this for a second, because basically what they trained these rats to do was just sort of like hold on to this little lever, and they could like turn it left or right or go forward, and they could basically navigate to get a reward, which was like a Fruit Loop or something. And they like all got really good at it, and it turns out at the end of this, they found that really, that sort of sense of like agency over their lives, really, really like profoundly life enriching. And I just thought that was cool. They also updated this for subsequent studies. They've now done a bunch more really cool experiments with this, and they released this sort of promo video. They worked with an engineering lab, and they built like a brand new, like souped up car for these rats, and it's just so rad. Yeah, it's like an F1 commercial. Like, I'm just gonna appreciate it. Yeah.
They could be future pizza drivers.
Yeah, and this is the reward they were going for, yeah.
I would love to know what grant funded this research.
Yeah.
Pizza rat on wheels.
Yeah. They can start delivering the pizza, yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Anyway, Rat Car 2.
2?
It was the second iteration of it. All right, well, that just made me very happy. But in question 7, we're going to find out the answer to this. Question 7. A Parisian dog was rewarded with a steak after he rescued a child who had fallen in the Seine. What did the dog do next?
We had a few answers.
Well, pick one.
One of them was he threw the kid back in the Seine.
Well, so we're thinking at a minimum that positive reinforcement, he saved another kid. And my response was it would be funnier if he pushed the same kid back in and then went back for him. So the safest one answer we think is saved a child again. Because that covers various,
That is
lead-ups.
strictly true, but it
Okay.
misses the thing that
My
he did
favorite.
next,
put
which
ketchup
was
on the kid.
push in another child. The New York Times wrote an article called Dog a Fake Hero. Pushes children into the Seine to rescue them and win beefsteaks. Now, I'm just going to read to you parts of this article. The dog is a property of a man who lives on the banks of the Seine just outside Paris. Some time ago, a child playing on the river fell into fell into the water and was in imminent danger of being drowned. Oh. The dog, hearing the cries and the splashing, leapt over a hedge, ran down the bank, and plunged into the stream just in time to rescue the little victim. Naturally, the brave animal was made much of, and the father of said child, by way of recompense, presented him with a beefsteak. Up to this point, there was nothing extraordinary, but rescues became more and more frequent. Hardly a day went by that some unfortunate infant was brought safely to the bank by the dog after an involuntary bath. It began to be suspected that the neighborhood was haunted by a mysterious criminal, and a special watch was inaugurated. Then the truth came out. It was the dog, the noble lifesaver himself, that was the guilty one. Whenever he saw a child playing on the edge of the stream, he promptly knocked it into the water. And then nonetheless promptly jumped into the rescue. He had thus established for himself a profitable source of revenue. Good shit. Dogs have been with us since well before humans lived in cities, and they've always been an important part of human culture. But I think that at some point we have to consider whether they're getting too smart for their own good, and whether or not the term a dog is a man's best friend was exclusive to adult men. And perhaps not children as much. All right. Question 8, last one. Which one of the following is a real headline about Pizza Rat? A, Pizza Rat just got slightly sexier. B, wild New York City rats prefer bagels from New Jersey, study finds, hastening city's eradication efforts. C, TikTokers nominate Pizza Rat for NYC Rat Czar. D, Pizza Rat milkshake duck calls to cancel celebrity rodent intensify as tweets resurface.
So I will say, we misread this question, and we said, which one isn't a real headline? And we actually thought 3 out of the 4 were real.
Wow.
But we're going to change our answer.
I want to know which ones you thought were real.
Well, A through C.
Well, 1/3 of those was correct for the real question.
So I was going to say, the one that we really think is real is A. Pizza Rat just got slightly sexier.
What do y'all think?
Oh, he...
Ooh.
No, you fools, it was A. Okay. This is the article.
Yeah.
The Intelligencer. Pizza Rat just got slightly sexier. It was about a Halloween costume that cost $80 where you could look like Pizza Rat. One of our guests, actually the last time we did a show about urban wildlife, Dr. Casey Lardner, who studied the sort of cognitive resilience in wild New York City rats, said the following: Pizza Rat is sexy from an ecological standpoint and from a neuroscientific standpoint, and we fully agree. Casey is the executive director of a wonderful organization called GenSpace. It's a community biolab in New York, and if you would like to learn more about GenSpace, you should definitely look them up because it's really, really cool. For like less than a gym membership, you can go and like buck around in a lab, and it's awesome. And they have to regularly report to the FBI to make sure that nobody is making bioterrorism weapons. And I found an article in the New York Times as well that said for the FBI agent whose like specialty was like bioterrorism, saying, we are not concerned about the GenSpace people. And I guess I'm glad, but also I don't like their tone. You know? It's not that we couldn't. We just don't want to. We're good people. Okay. All right, so that was all of the trivia. So how did y'all do? How many did y'all get? Did you,
I think we missed 2.
you missed 2.
I think we were right.
So you had 6,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
All right,
Yes.
pretty good.
We
Tonight.
got this one right.
Okay, what was your score?
We got this one.
Yeah.
Okay, 6.
Close enough.
So in the audience tonight, the winners, a tie for this with 5 points each. So you guys did get the highest score. The M9 and the myoclonic jerks. Congratulations. Way to go. But at Fax Machine, we do not just award prizes, notional as they may be, to the team that got the most points. We also award the team that learned the most. And those 2 teams that tied with 0 points tonight, Team Daya and Team I Am Lord Pizzamort. Great work, y'all. And so basically, you guys got 6, so you are the winners. We will go back to the green room. We will do our sort of occult surgical alterations. You will get the things you wanted, which is the agility of a pigeon, the ability to not smell things, and the ability to not hear things. Those are actually pretty achievable, except for the first one. So we'll make that happen. But folks, that is just about all we have for you tonight. Please give it one more time for our amazing guest, Kate Schmidt, Dr. Garima Raheja, as well as my co-host, Dr. M. Costa.